Straight on to business now with Charles Pellegrin. He's joining us here on set. Leadership of Google, breathing rather a sigh of relief.
This after a ruling by a U.S. federal judge that finds the tech giant will not have to sell its Chrome web browser or its Android operating system as demanded by the U.S. Department of Justice. This followed a previous ruling by the same judge which said that Google had used unfair methods to establish a monopoly over the online search market, notably by paying smartphone makers huge sums of money, more than $26 billion, to exclusively use its products. So Google doesn't have to spin off its most important product, but it is now required to share information with its competitors in order to try and level that playing field. A decision it will appeal. It would also be barred from entering in exclusive contracts like it used to. Let's get a sense of that market dominance. Chrome is a dominant web browser. According to StatCounter, Google's key product has about 70% of the world's market share for browsers across all its platforms, far ahead of Apple's Safari at 15%. When looking at search engines specifically, the dominance is even higher for Google at 90%. As for the Android operating system, it's used in 74% of phones worldwide.
Yeah, so how important is search for Google's business then, Charles?
It's huge. It's expected to generate about $200 billion this year. In most quarters, earnings report, as in the last, the Google search line is always at the top, the most important revenue driver. In the second quarter, search generated $54 billion. And as you can see on that pie chart, that's about 56% of its total revenue of $96 billion. So not having to sell its biggest earner comes as a huge relief, notably for the company's investors. Alphabet, Google's parent company, saw its shares soaring after the ruling and after hours trading up over 7%.
So why has the judge reached this decision then?
Well, Judge Amit Mehta said that the sale of Chrome would have been a poor fit for this case. Google had expressed worries that selling off Android or Chrome could mean these products would stop working effectively. Another big factor here is the rise of artificial intelligence chatbots like ChatGPT or Perplexity. This is completely overhauling the search sector and reducing Google's dominance as a whole. However, the ruling does come as a disappointment to Google's search competitors like DuckDuckGo, whose CEO Gabriel Weinberg testified in the case. He said, "We do not believe the remedies ordered by the court will force the changes necessary to adequately address Google's illegal behavior. Google will still be allowed to continue to use its monopoly to hold back competitors, including in AI search." Google's legal woes aren't over yet, though. Later this month, it's scheduled to go on trial in a separate case over the alleged illegal monopoly it holds in online advertising technology.
Best thing about that story is the name of the judge, Judge Mehta.
I know, quite
Very
appropriate.
Good.
Yeah.
Very clever. Well, not clever, just coincidental. That's the word. Markets now, Charles.
European markets opening higher this Wednesday, reversing negative sentiment that we saw on Tuesday. The CAC 40 in Paris up 0.2% higher in spite of bond yields rising to their highest levels since 2009. Finance Minister Éric Lombard saying in a Financial Times interview today that the government would have to compromise on its plans to cut the budget deficit if Prime Minister Bayrou is toppled in a confidence vote on September 8th.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that a lot later in the programme. We're going to stay in France now. Some concerning data coming out on consumer confidence in the country here.
The French are saving like never before. On average, households are now put aside 19% of their income. That's not great news. As a result, consumption is shrinking. Charlotte Lamb explains.
Saving seems to be the new craze for French households. For this Parisian, cautious spending has become second nature.
When it comes to more expensive purchases, it's complicated because you're not sure what the outcome will be.
New figures from the French National Institute for Statistics and Economic Studies show in the second quarter of this year, households put aside nearly 19% of their earnings. That's the highest rate in 45 years, excluding the COVID-19 period, with 7 in 10 saying they're worried about the future. This rise in savings is mainly driven by two categories, the oldest and wealthiest. The numbers suggest French savings now amount to a staggering 6.3 trillion euros, almost double the size of the country's debt. But what's going into savings isn't being spent.
I have to watch my budget, watch what I spend, so that I have to focus more on what's essential.
More data shows in July household consumption fell by 0.3%. The Hotel Trades and Industry Union says no sector has felt it more than in restaurants, with visits in the summer dropping between 25 and 30%. Retailers warn the current political turmoil is only feeding uncertainty.
Today, the political context, the illegibility, the announcements made by members of parliament and the government all add to this anxiety. Should we buy a car? Should we postpone? There's no answer, there's no vision.
For now, the nation's political uncertainty seems to be keeping wallets closed and savings at a record high.
Thanks very much, Jean Pellegrin, with the business for us there here on France 24. Emily's